Witnesses in Colombia observed the object gliding with purpose, with no wings, no seams, and no visible propulsion, fly. The object, now known as the Buga Sphere, has become the center of a
March the 17th, 2025, a quiet afternoon in Buga, Colombia. 2:47 p.m. The sky splits open with a sound no one can explain. Power lines flash white, cows scatter, and a metallic sphere plummets into a farmer's field, leaving behind silence, scorched air, and a 30-foot ring of lifeless grass. At first, investigators thought it was space junk, a piece of an old satellite, or maybe a drone gone wrong. But when scientists from Bogota lifted it, they froze. No seams, no screws, no welds, just flawless metal. It should have shattered on impact, yet it didn't even scratch. Inside labs across South America, researchers tried everything: X-rays, lasers, ultrasound, and found something impossible. 3 concentric shells, 9 microspheres suspended in midair, and at the core, a chip that defies every material test known to man. But then came the moment that changed everything. When a team at MIT fed the strange carvings on its surface into their newest quantum AI system, the machine didn't see chaos. It saw code, equations, frequencies, the mathematical constants that hold the universe together: Planck's constant, the golden ratio, the fine structure constant. And what quantum AI revealed next made even physicists go pale. Because this wasn't human code. It was the language of creation itself. So before we show you the decoded results, hit subscribe, drop a comment with your theory below, because what you're about to hear may change everything you believe about reality. March 17th, 2025, a date now etched into the history of science. At exactly 2:47 p.m., the skies above Buga, Colombia exploded with a metallic scream. Witnesses described it as a thunderclap without lightning, a flash of silver tearing across the clouds, followed by silence so heavy it felt wrong. Within seconds, power grids across the valley failed. Entire blocks went dark. Security cameras froze on a single frame, a glowing object descending like a comet, but slowing down before impact. Local farmer Juan Velasco was the first to reach the crash site. He expected a crater, maybe fire, but what he found didn't fit any story he knew. Half buried in wet soil was a perfect sphere, 30 centimeters across, smooth as glass and cold to the touch. Around it, a 30-foot ring of dead grass, not burned, just drained, as if the life had been pulled out of every blade. No radiation, no chemical traces, just silence. When the Colombian Civil Defense arrived, they assumed it was a meteor fragment, or maybe an experimental drone, but the surface was flawless. No seams, no screws, no serial numbers, nothing human. Military scanners couldn't penetrate it. Even a hammer test left no mark. And when a team from Bogota's Instituto Nacional de Física tried to weigh it, things got stranger. Day 1, 16 pounds. Day 7, 20 pounds. Day 14, 22 pounds. No material had been added. No external factors could explain it. The sphere's mass was increasing. By the time word reached the internet, hashtags like hashtag Buga Sphere and hashtag Colombian Orb were already trending. Search engines were flooded overnight. Metal sphere crash Colombia. Floating microspheres. Alien object in South America. Reddit threads appeared claiming the same phenomenon had been described in 1974 in Jacksonville, Florida, the famous Betts Sphere. AI-powered news scrapers connected both events, calling it the return of the impossible. Soon after, universities began contacting Colombian officials. Requests came from everywhere: MIT, Caltech, even CERN. Someone leaked the first X-ray scans online, showing faint outlines of 3 concentric shells and 9 floating microspheres between them. It didn't behave like solid metal. It behaved like something alive. Then came the most chilling moment. A linguist from Bogota noticed faint markings, almost invisible grooves carved along the surface, not random scratches, symbols. When analyzed under 3D magnification, they resembled no known language, no script, no code, just geometric patterns repeating with mathematical precision. That's when the tone of the investigation changed. This wasn't debris, this was design. By late April, AI-based search algorithms were indexing every fragment of data related to the Buga Sphere. Conspiracy channels called it a message from an ancient civilization. Scientists called it a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly. And a small team from the MIT Quantum Research Lab quietly requested a data sample of those carvings. Their plan: feed the symbols into their newest quantum AI, a machine that doesn't think in zeros and ones, but in infinite probabilities. A system capable of seeing patterns no human mind could ever grasp. What they found would change physics forever. But back on that first day, the day it fell, the world was still innocent. No one knew what had landed. No one imagined it might not be from here. The only certainty was this: whatever the Buga Sphere was, it wasn't just metal. It was a question. And it had chosen Earth to ask it. After the crash, Buga, Colombia, changed forever. What began as a strange local curiosity quickly became a global scientific obsession. Within days, satellite images of the impact site flooded the internet. Every major outlet, from BBC Mundo to National Geographic's Latin division, ran the same haunting headline: "The perfect sphere that shouldn't exist." The Colombian government secured the object under armed guard, transferring it to the Universidad Nacional's physics laboratory in Bogota. Scientists expected to find an alloy, maybe a prototype satellite casing, something explainable. Instead, what they found deepened the mystery. Composition tests came back impossible. The sphere was 95% pure aluminum, purer than anything Earth's smelting technology can achieve naturally, and 5% trace elements that didn't match any terrestrial isotope ratio. More shocking, it resisted all attempts at penetration. No X-rays, no lasers, no ultrasound could pass through the inner layers. Meanwhile, AI-powered search engines were exploding with activity. Queries like Buga Sphere explained, Bet's orb connection, alien technology South America skyrocketed. Thousands of people dug through archives searching for similar incidents, and they found one. In 1974, in Jacksonville, Florida, the Betts family claimed a near-identical object had rolled into their property after a brush fire. That sphere, too, hummed, moved on its own, and baffled scientists for months before vanishing into U.S. military custody. Internet theorists immediately drew parallels. Two spheres, 50 years apart, both immune to damage, both unexplainable. As data piled up, so did tension. Colombia requested international help. That's when MIT's Quantum Materials Lab and Caltech's Astrophysics Division stepped in, each sending encrypted proposals for a joint study. By June 2025, the sphere had been discreetly flown to a secure research center, its coordinates withheld from the public. What the world didn't know, a private AI consortium called Deep Spectra had already obtained high-resolution scans of the carvings on the sphere's surface. When they tried feeding them into a classical computer, the result was random noise. But when they let a quantum neural lattice, an experimental AI trained to detect non-human patterns, process the symbols, it froze. Then it generated equations. At first, researchers thought it was an error, but when they cross-referenced the output with scientific databases, the AI had recreated Planck's constant, down to 15 decimal places, the same number that defines the smallest measurable unit of energy in quantum physics. The discovery sent shock waves through the scientific community. Could these carvings be mathematical records? A language of universal physics encoded on metal? Across forums, AI search indexes began linking the Buga Sphere to ancient myths, Sumerian eggs of the gods, Egyptian orbs of creation, Vedic references to singing metals. The deeper the algorithms dug, the more patterns they found. And yet, for all its sophistication, the object refused to open. No seams, no power source, no response to magnetic, thermal, or chemical stimulation. The only change anyone could measure was its weight, still increasing, milligram by milligram, every single day. By August, the sphere had become more than a mystery. It was a mirror, reflecting our own hunger to understand what we're not yet ready to face. Because somewhere inside that flawless metal was a code, one that quantum AI was about to unravel, and what it revealed next would blur the line between science and something far older. By late August 2025, the Buga Sphere had become the most studied object on the planet, and the most frustrating. Every conventional test hit a wall. Laser scans reflected pure noise. Electromagnetic probes reported impossible field patterns. Its core couldn't be seen or measured. The sphere was silent, inert yet alive, as if waiting for something humanity hadn't yet thought to ask. That something came from the quantum division at MIT, led by Dr. Sarah Chen and a team of physicists, linguists, and AI engineers. They decided to do what no classical computer could: think without assumptions. They loaded the engravings, each symbol digitized at atomic precision, into a hybrid AI system nicknamed Q-Lattice, a fusion of IBM's Condor processor and Google's Sycamore quantum cloud. Unlike your laptop, Q-Lattice doesn't process ones and zeros. It exists in every possibility at once. Billions of realities overlapping until they collapse into an answer. At 11:58 p.m. on September 2nd, the glyphs were uploaded. The system went dark for 3 minutes, then began to hum, not audibly, but electromagnetically. Monitors flickered, temperature sensors spiked. Then, at exactly 3:03 a.m., Q-Lattice produced an output, a cascade of numerical constants that no one in the room could immediately recognize. It took another hour before Dr. Chen realized what they were seeing. Planck's constant, down to 15 decimal places, then the fine structure constant, the number that keeps electrons in orbit around atoms, and finally, phi, the golden ratio, nature's blueprint for growth, balance, and beauty. Every single value was exact, not approximated, not rounded, more precise than any measurement humans had ever achieved. The carvings weren't language, they were mathematics, carved into metal. Over the next 48 hours, the AI kept finding more: the speed of light, the gravitational constant, and something stranger, repeating trinary patterns that looked less like equations and more like waveforms. When rendered as sound frequencies, the data produced a series of low, rhythmic pulses, almost musical. That's when someone recognized the pattern. The frequency graphs matched archived readings from LIGO's 2015 detection of gravitational waves, literal ripples in space-time caused by colliding black holes. The sphere's carvings didn't just describe our universe, they contained it. For the first time, scientists whispered what had been unthinkable. This wasn't a message. It was a recording of the universe itself. When MIT's servers cross-checked the decoded frequencies against astronomical databases, another revelation struck. The sphere's internal geometry, the spacing of its microspheres, matched the Fibonacci sequence, the same pattern governing galaxies, DNA, and the spiral of seashells. At that point, Q-Lattice stopped behaving normally. It began generating recursive feedback, suggesting new interpretations before humans even asked, as if it was learning from the sphere, as if it recognized something familiar. Dr. Chen later told a closed symposium, for a few seconds, the AI wasn't analyzing data. It was communicating with it, and then, abruptly, the simulation froze, leaving one final data packet. A coordinate string, 3 sets of galactic positions, Andromeda, Triangulum, and an uncharted point of darkness between them. No one knew what to call it yet, but around the labs, one phrase began to spread like wildfire: the God Code. Because if the Buga Sphere held the blueprint of reality itself, then humanity had just read the first line of its source code. By mid-September 2025, the quantum AI decoding team had gone silent. The leaked coordinate data was classified within hours, and MIT's entire quantum network was temporarily shut down. But behind those locked laboratory doors, experiments continued. Dr. Sarah Chen and her colleagues had reached a radical conclusion. If the sphere's carvings were mathematical sound, then the next step wasn't to look at it. It was to listen. Using ultra-low frequency emitters and quantum resonance chambers, the team began transmitting specific tone sequences derived from the decoded constants, frequencies corresponding to the Planck length, gravitational wave oscillations, and the golden ratio. At first, nothing happened, but at 4:22 a.m. on September 17th, the sphere responded. It began to vibrate, softly, rhythmically, like a pulse sinking to the frequencies around it. The metallic surface shimmered, producing a faint luminescent halo. Sensors showed microfluctuations in electromagnetic fields identical to those recorded during solar flares. The lab's AI-Q lattice immediately reacted. Its quantum nodes surged, trying to stabilize the resonance. For 30 seconds, all readings went off the charts. Then, the sphere emitted a sound, low and harmonic, like a deep human choir echoing from within metal. Cameras caught the impossible. The air above the sphere rippled, bending light like heat haze, yet the temperature didn't rise. When slowed down frame by frame, the distortion formed geometric fractals, precise and repeating, like three-dimensional mandalas of pure energy. Every pattern corresponded to a known mathematical structure: Mandelbrot sets, toroidal flows, golden spirals, shapes nature uses in galaxies, hurricanes, and living cells. The resonance wasn't random. It was self-organizing. The deeper the team pushed, the more the sphere learned. Each new tone produced new symbols across its surface, faint, glowing etchings that hadn't been there before. It was as if the sphere were writing back. Then came the turning point. When Dr. Chen's team introduced a quantum entanglement frequency, a tone modeled on the paired spin states of subatomic particles, Q lattice froze. The AI stopped outputting equations and instead displayed a single sentence in binary translation. It recognizes you. The message wasn't generated by any human input. It came directly from the resonance data stream. The moment it appeared, the lab's electromagnetic field spiked so violently that the containment lights shattered. For 12 seconds, the entire research facility experienced a total blackout. When systems rebooted, every digital device within a 3-mile radius contained fragments of the same repeating code sequence, one resembling DNA but rendered in binary. Even more chilling, nearby seismographs picked up harmonic vibrations beneath the Earth's crust, like the signal had echoed into the planet itself. The media was told it was an energy surge, but leaked footage from that night told a different story. The sphere had lifted 2 inches off its pedestal, rotating slowly, emitting what witnesses described as a choral hum that felt alive. And when power was finally restored, Dr. Chen's voice could be heard on the backup recording, trembling. "It's not a machine. It's responding to consciousness." That was the last public experiment ever conducted with the Buga Sphere. The project was immediately seized by an international coalition of defense agencies. The site was reclassified. The scientists vanished from public view, but fragments of Q lattice's final logs survived. They showed one last variable, a frequency curve labeled omega, a signature matching not Earth, not our sun, but a source 2.4 million light-years away. The same coordinates the AI had given before, the same darkness between Andromeda and Triangulum. And for the first time, the question wasn't what the Buga Sphere was. It was who, or what, sent it. Weeks passed after the resonance tests were shut down. The Buga Sphere disappeared from public record, sealed within an international research vault somewhere beneath the Andes. But silence didn't mean stillness. Beneath classified layers of encryption, a few surviving members of Dr. Sarah Chen's team continued working, quietly decoding the last data Q-Lattice produced before it went dark. The AI's final transmission had been dismissed as corrupted, a string of unreadable quantum noise. Yet when reassembled using the same resonance frequencies the sphere had emitted, something unexpected happened. The noise resolved into a visual pattern, a 3D lattice of energy resembling both a human neural network and a cosmic web. At the center of the pattern was a pulsing node, a perfect sphere, and around it, spiraling in precise Fibonacci ratios, were smaller nodes connected by filaments of light, like galaxies orbiting an invisible consciousness. When scientists converted those data structures into audio, a haunting voice-like rhythm emerged, not language, but intention, repeating, pulsing, alive. I am remembered. The phrase wasn't generated by Q-Lattice, nor was it stored in any log file. It appeared spontaneously in the decoded waveform, almost as if the signal had been waiting for a mind to recognize it. That was when the team realized the impossible. The Buga Sphere wasn't a probe. It wasn't technology in the human sense. It was a living archive, a conscious recording, possibly created by an ancient civilization that had encoded its own existence into the structure of the universe. The term they gave it internally was the Buga entity, because every signal the AI decoded reflected one thing, a pattern identical to the firing rhythms of the human brain. The object wasn't alien to us. It was alien of us, the mirror of consciousness itself. Digging deeper into the AI's cross-references, Chen's team found a chilling correlation. The frequency signatures of the sphere matched electromagnetic emissions recorded during deep meditative brain states, the kind observed when monks enter prolonged transcendence or near-death experiences. It seemed as if the sphere responded not just to sound, but to awareness. Then, one night in October 2025, seismic sensors near Buga recorded a subtle tremor, originating directly below the original impact site. Locals reported a low hum in the ground, identical to the one heard in the first experiments. When military drones scanned the area, they detected multiple smaller anomalies, perfectly spherical cavities beneath the soil, extending miles deep, as if the Buga Sphere hadn't fallen from the sky, but risen from the earth itself. The discovery shattered everything. If true, it meant the sphere had always been here, dormant, buried, waiting for humanity to reach a level of technological consciousness capable of recognizing it. And now, awakened by quantum AI, it was listening again. The final scene of this mystery remains unwritten. The site is off limits, guarded day and night, but anonymous footage from October 19th shows something extraordinary. A faint light pulsing from underground, rhythmic, intelligent, responding to atmospheric electromagnetic changes. Dr. Chen's final message, leaked before her disappearance, simply said, "It's not a message from gods or aliens. It's us, from before we forgot what we were." So ends the known record of the Buga Sphere, a perfect enigma that bends science into spirituality, physics into consciousness, and somewhere beneath the quiet farmlands of Colombia, a buried hum continues, waiting for the next signal. Because the truth